really good day. It was one of those days, in camp, you talk about the camp grind. Well, today was one of those days. It was a grind. Long practice, hot practice, physical practice, got some live goal line work in, which was a plus. Competed well. It was consequences for each competition period, whether it's push-ups, sprints. So we're getting our conditioning in for whatever side of the ball doesn't win the day. And so it was good. But they pushed through it. I'm gonna tell you, that's the thing I was most proud of, is they pushed through the workout, a long practice, and like I said, a hot one. So glad to see that. Today we went quite as crisp the entire day offensively. That installation's starting to build up on us, and so sometimes we're sort of flinching a little bit up front. We're having to move people, especially some of the young guys. You got to grab them, move them over on their proper alignments, and eventually we can't play. They're not going to let our coaches out on the field, and so they got to be able to do it on their own. And it's mostly the young kids, the guys that are just now getting put in the fire a little bit, and that's both sides of the ball. But the effort was there. We improved in a lot of areas. I think we're tackling better. We're definitely doing a much better job of practicing together, and that's been a big plus. And so just excited about the way they fought through it today, a little adversity with the temperature and length of practice. So good to see, good attitudes, ready to get back in here and get a shower and go check out the tape.
What's the idea behind the 2 days, Wednesday and Friday?
Get some more work in. Yeah. Anytime we only get so many days to get in 29 practices, and so tomorrow we'll go 2 days tomorrow and Friday, but they're separated pretty good. Early in the morning, late in the evening, plenty of recovery time, but it just gives you a little more time to work with these kids. Now each practice won't be as long as this morning, so there'll be a little bit shorter practice, but it'll be 2 practices, and so both practices I think are 18 periods, and so that will allow us to get a little more work in. The second practice will just be a helmet-only practice, but it'll be good to get some extra work, get some of the young guys. We'll use that to get some young guys a little extra work too.
Do that because you take Sundays off?
Well, no, because if you don't practice twice a day on those days, you'll end up with 21 practices.
Oh, okay.
You only have so many days, and to get 20, you have more practice days than days available. So in order to get the practices in, you have to double up on a couple of days.
You're going to have a starting quarterback who either didn't start a game or wasn't here until last Wednesday. With that in mind, how important is it for Eddie to kind of be the glue?
Yeah, Eddie, I tell you, that's one thing Eddie Gordon has been. He has been the glue. He's been the leader, and that's a big plus. I think he's got confidence, all 3 guys. I think all 3 guys did some good stuff today. Jalen looked I thought, pretty good at times today. So I thought all 3 are competing. They're just trying to process all this information in a short period of time, and obviously the younger guys have had a little more head start with the processing information all summer and spring. But I would say those guys are, like I said, a little bit ahead of what I thought they would be, the new guys on the information, even though we're not where we need to be yet.
How's the practicing going about practicing?
Much better. That's what I was saying earlier. We're getting better at practicing together. We didn't have near as many people on the ground today. I saw guys come up with better run fits, but we're not just throwing their body and diving on the ground. And I thought we tagged off a little bit better on the back end and took better angles in our approach, and so much better.
Back to Eddie. Eli in the past has been a really quiet type guy, and Eddie himself said he's sort of quiet too. Can that be effective, and how can you make it effective if you're going to be the one who's leading?
Yeah, well, Eddie in the past has never been really vocal, but he just starting this spring though he's been vocal, and what's been great to see is him step up and realize that he's got to step up and sort of grab the bull by the horns, and he's definitely done that. And Al Rouse is already a very vocal guy, and he's also one of the team leaders. But Elijah picks and chooses when he speaks, but he's sort of like E.F. Hutton. You know what I'm saying? When he talks, everybody listens, but he don't talk all the time. He talks, and when he talks, so they know, hey, you know what, this is probably important. We better pay attention to what the guy says.
Sticking with the old line, first name pads, how'd they look as a group?
Pretty good, but they've been working together, you know what I'm saying, all summer long and then this spring, so they're looking pretty good. The twos are coming along too, but we've got some twos that are really looking good. Raynard Ford is showing that he wants some playing time at left tackle. Kevin Dotson is showing that he wants some playing time, whether it's guard or tackle. So those guys, to me, are pushing some starters for playing time. I really like their attitudes and the way they're working. And some of the young guys with Cole Prudhomme, Ken Marks, They're all, to me, competing well and are showing that they deserve and will get some playing time too.
You said a couple weeks ago at press day, talking about making sure last year didn't happen again. Do you see guys starting to buy into that?
Well, I think you're always just always wanting to do more, get better, improve, and not just last year. If we'd have won 9 games last year or 10, we'd be wanting to win more this year, 11, 12. So you're always are trying to improve, and giving our best is going to be our bar every year, regardless of our final record, whether it's 9 wins, 10 wins, whatever the case may be. We want to give our best in our meetings, in our classroom, on the practice field, in the weight room. And when you approach everything like that, day to day, winning the day, giving your best, the wins, those happen because of everything else. And so you've got to do that process first. And you just can't worry about, right now, hey, we got to win. No, we got to win just today. We don't play today. We don't play tomorrow. We just got to worry about what we can get better at today, whether it's classroom, meeting room, weight room, treatment, all of those things.
Coach, talk a little bit about what's impressed you the most on the defensive side of the ball. I know that's a second year with the 2 coordinators, and they talked a lot on media day about, these guys now know what they want and expectations are higher. They're going to be attacking more. What have you seen the first week in practice on the defensive side?
You know what? We definitely have seen that the signees that we brought in have definitely made an impact. Our team speed is twofold from last year on the defensive side. When you think about the defensive linemen we brought in, they're more agile, they're faster. The defensive backs we brought in have a lot of speed, and you can see that that's evident. So once they get the schemes down, and we're not going to be super fancy. We're going to let these guys play football and get them to the football, and they're showing that. And we got a lot of guys that are competing, and we hopefully we can roll a lot of players on the defense side of the ball.
Talked about a couple of twos on the O-line that have shown you some stuff. Are any other twos that have kind of made a case for themselves?
I'll tell you who stood out in the last 2 days, especially today, is Trevante Booker, the freshman D lineman. That kid, if he continues to work and if he buys in and he becomes a guy that works every day and learns the way we do things, he could be a really good player, and might could find some playing time this year as he develops and later in the season. Boy, he's looked good at times. Very athletic, still young, still got to get much stronger. But I tell you, he's been impressive early as one of the defensive freshmen.
You said you'd like to have 8 offensive linemen. Last year in the NFL, some teams actually rotated offensive linemen in and out during games instead of just sticking with the same 5. Is that something that you would consider to build that depth?
No question. Especially early in the season, we definitely want to be able to play more than 5. We're going to play a lot of guys, and so we're going to have to be able to have confidence in those guys. And whether it's a series or run them out for a play, but typically you want to give those guys a series at certain points in the game. And when they're performing well in practice, you got to have confidence they'll do the thing in the game. So excited about some of those guys.
But that's totally different than what you've done in the past. So is that more a reflection of
I think,
depth
yeah.
of individual?
I definitely think that's more of a reflection of quality depth of guys that are right on the cusp of starting, or to be honest with you, could almost be co-starters. But we're not going to get into every deal like that. But you definitely want to play them and get them ready if you're ever needed as the season goes along. That's how you create depth, is getting them to play, put them on the field, and put them in the action. So I definitely see that happening.
I got to ask the prerequisite quarterback question. Given your perfect scenario, when would you want to say this guy's going to take a snap?
Well, and you'd like to say that today, if that was the best case scenario.
Free.
I'm sure y'all like that. But, I could see this shaking down at the latest by the last scrimmage, by the latest, if not before. So we'll see what happens. But we're definitely going to name a starter. I have no quarrels about doing that this year whatsoever. All right.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Thanks.